Hi, I'm Bernie Levine, and this is the BallenIsles Art Expo. Would you believe this is our 18th year? We have here 80 people, members of the community, who have done all the work you're going to be seeing, and almost 130 pieces of art, each of them different, and I think you'll appreciate them all. Thank you, welcome, and enjoy the show.
I'm with Marilyn Mendelsohn now, and we are going to meet Zarina, this magnificent bronze sculpture. Marilyn, tell me a little about this piece.
Well, I was a professional dancer, and what happened was when my feet gave out, I decided I wanted to sculpt it. For some reason, I cannot draw at all, but for some reason I can sculpt from day one. And it is wonderful. If I can't dance, my dancers dance.
Oh, how beautiful. And this is how you created Zarina as a dancer.
Yes.
Can you tell me how you got this pose? Is this a real person?
It's me.
It's you.
In my studio in the house, and what happened is that I would strip down into a leotard and tights, and I have a full-length mirror, and that way I was able to get you learn the most from a real model. And you see the lines, you see the way one folds into another muscle, and that's what I did.
So you pictured yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And then from that,
Yes.
you created this magnificent dress that she's wearing that is flowing with movement, the fan, and I trust that's your hair.
Yes, it was.
It was wonderful, wonderful. Tell me about the piece and how long it took you to make it.
A long time. I'm afraid I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I don't settle very easily. And what happened was, when I went to the foundry, I wanted this color. He had never done this color. And we were in one of our cold spells. We worked for 10 hours because they put it on, and once the heat goes on, it changes color completely. And that's what happened, and we got it. Once we have it,
Fabulous.
we're good.
And how old is Zarina?
I think I did her in 2008, to be honest with you.
Good.
It probably says no, 2001.
2001.
2001.
Now tell me about the other piece that's in the exhibit.
show?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I was just getting back. I had taken a hiatus of about 4 years. And I was just getting back, and I had a live model, and she was adorable. And I decided I was going to do a patina, and I gave it to the head of the sculpture department. It didn't work out the way I thought it would.
Right.
Apparently one patina, one glaze bubbled up, and my daughter saw it, and she said, "Plagued by insecurities." I said, "That's it, I've got the title.
That's
it.
the name.
That's
and
it."
it is a beautiful head, a beautiful woman's face.
Thank you.
So it's really your expressiveness in the sculptures and your expression are wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us. Hello, Jan. I'm with Janstromp,
Hello, Roz.
and we are looking at the completion of Jan's project. Last year, we were interviewed together and talked about 2 of the 3 pieces, and now he has completed his journey as well as his character, who in fact was a man on the corner on a Maryland street who intrigued you so many years ago, and now here you are at completion. So just walk me through quickly the first 2 that we talked about last year, and then bring me to the final piece.
Well, the first piece was sort of inspirational. I'd seen him, and even subconsciously when I was doing the final touch-ups on this and the final finishing items, I put a hat on and added a beard, and one morning I was on the way to work, and there he was standing on the corner. And but I've always been fascinated with expression, whether it's facial expressions or physical expressions, and I fell in love with this piece. but I decided, because I had called it The Journey to Nowhere, The Road to Nowhere, I decided that I wanted to actually make a journey out of it. So the second piece was Rest Stop on the Road to Nowhere.
Okay.
And then I could have continued this forever,
Yes.
But I got to the point I said enough is
Three is
enough,
enough.
and three
Right,
is enough.
right.
And so this is End of the Road, Nowhere. So he is here, curled up on the bench. He still has his little bundle that he carried all the way through him. He picked up a little dog companion at the fire hydrant that is still with him. And this is the end of this series, kind of in a pathetic place. But
Well, yeah, in a way, perhaps pathetic, although he seems to have accoutrements for his survival. And in the story you tell, I mean, he obviously inspired you. He is going to inspire the viewers in this rather remarkable piece of bronze.
Well, hopefully.
Tell me staging with this. Tell me how you staged this third piece. Which piece was first?
Well, I knew I wanted him on a park
Bench.
bench. That was the end of it. So I knew that. And I've used the garbage can before,
Right.
and it sort of gives a definition to the piece. Also, it can be, there may be things in there that will be of use to him, but the idea that it's kind of smashed and trash is spilling out all over it. And just the idea of the dog being there, the dog has his bowl, and this is, he's at peace at this point in time. He's resting, he's going to sleep, he's got his shoes stashed under the bench, and this is unfortunately nowhere.
But a very comfortable nowhere.
It seems to be.
Thanks,
It
Chad.
seems to be. Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
I am with Terry Oster, who is, I'm very excited about her telling us about this aspect of her art that I have not seen before. So Terry, tell us about this piece.
I have worked with colored pens forever. I take a little sketchbook with me when we're driving for any long distance, and I just draw what comes into my head. Anyways, the first one is the hardest because you cannot erase permanent pen, and every stroke counts. And I captured this with just very little strokes. You can't see, it's a praying man. As I progress, I use stronger and more pens to the end to show the progression of the delicate to the darkness. You cannot, once a stroke is down, it's there forever. You cannot erase these and you cannot change them. Therefore, I've been working this style for maybe 30, 40 years, off and on.
Are these each the same man?
No. They are all different people. Some from my imaginations, some from the newspapers. That's Tobin that was hiding himself. I just see something and it goes into my head and it comes out through my hands. I also work in oil mostly, but these are just an ongoing sketching that I've done since I was a very little girl.
Tell me, Terry, how did you get started in expressing yourself through art? I know that art is not your earliest stage of artistic expression.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is it? I thought there was a chapter of dance.
That was when I was a very young girl.
Oh, okay.
Very young. Then I met my husband, got married, but that's a whole other thing. I started when I was very, very young. The school systems thought that I was a very gifted art student. So they got me from the time that I was 11 until 17, 6 years, at the Detroit Institute of Art. One student from every school system was chosen, and I was chosen for the Detroit Art Institute. We had classes every morning, and we painted in the afternoon. We had to be disciplined. That's where I first had my experience with painting. Originally, I did watercolors, but I can mix and match any medium and any technique I want. The more challenging, the more interesting to me.
Do you have a preference?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because I love drawing, and I'm a big painter. My last painting was too big for this show, but it was quite large. I'm a figurative artist. I'm an expressionist. I've studied the expressionist, I don't remember when, Roz, since I was forever. It just
wonderful.
fascinated
Really
me,
wonderful.
and that's my discipline. And if I can do something well, I turn around and do something else because I challenge myself all the time.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Terry. I'm with Jack Robbins, and we're about to hear in detail about his most recent avocation, which is the Photography Club.
Correct.
Tell me how you got involved, and tell me how we are now looking at this magnificent egret.
That's a good story. I basically retired about 10 years ago and really wasn't playing golf. I had back issues and stuff like that, so I was looking for a hobby. And the photography club had a meeting. Somebody said, "Why don't you come down?" I came down. And the great part about it, it brought me back to the days when I used to develop my own pictures when I was 13 years old in our basement. And what happened, it was the advent of Photoshop, and they had a lesson on Photoshop. And the first time that the instructor actually developed something or moved a face, he basically moved somebody's face from one body to the other. Wow. And I said, "My God, this
Wow.
is magic,
Really,
and I
really?
have got to learn it."
Great.
So I then went to Palm Beach State College, and I took a couple of lessons, which was kind of cool. And then we started to do some photo shoots and things like that. Now I'll move on to the egret. I was the president of the photography club about 4 years ago. And one of the things that we did is we did a golf cart safari right on our 12th hole at what we call the Rookery. Okay. And we had about a half hour to shoot pictures before the golfers would come up. And there was an egret there. Obviously it looks exactly like this one. And I took several pictures and I brought it home and I put it on my computer and I didn't like them. And what I learned from that, we had bright sunlight, and the bright sunlight on the white bird, you cannot get detail, except if you learn to do certain things in the camera, which I learned.
Okay.
So last year, I had an opportunity to catch another egret like this, and I nailed it. And it was so much fun, and I love the photography club, and I would basically urge anyone who's looking for something to do, if they like photography, come join the photography club. Call me, I'll take you there.
That's wonderful entree and welcome for sure, but you don't have to be 13 in a dark room to take up photography in your later chapters of life?
Well, I lied about the working papers.
Okay, good. Well, the lighting is magnificent in this photograph, and obviously a real tribute to your skills.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, Diane. Diane Mittenthal is showing a beautiful piece in this exhibit 2016 after many years of being a part of this exhibit.
It's my 14th.
14th year. So I want you to tell us a little about your background in art expression and then about your two beautiful pieces in this exhibit.
Let's see. Years ago, I was an art teacher, but I never really painted. I was an interior designer, and when I retired, I decided I was going to take up painting. So that's how many years I've been painting. 14 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I have exhibited every year. I don't know where I had the nerve to do it the first year, but I did.
Right.
And every year I hope it's gotten better.
Great. So always in oils, is that your medium?
And I started out in acrylics, and often I'll paint the whole canvas one color in acrylics, and then I'll come back and do it in oils.
I see. So it's multi-layered.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about this beautiful piece that is entitled Visiting Panther Ridge.
So I often paint buildings and landscapes and people, but rarely do I ever have an animal in my repertoire. And so Leslie Fagenson said, maybe you should have some animals. And she set up a trip with her family and her friends to Panther Ridge, which is in Wellington. And I just got inspired. The place is fabulous. And I mean, this is not just, I didn't take a picture out of a magazine. I was standing that close to this panther.
Really.
And it was an exciting day. And I love his eyes.
I was
He's
just
got-
going to say, you mentioned you love his green eyes, and they seem almost to be looking at me right now, but it is just fabulous the way he is coming out of that painting.
Right. And
Beautiful.
the composition of the painting, I think, makes it even more exciting.
Wonderful.
And
Now
it-
tell me about the other piece you have in the exhibit.
The other piece is an Asian woman, and we were sitting waiting for a plane, an Airbus, and we heard an announcement. The plane is going to be here in 3 hours, and she never looked up. She just kept typing and typing. The people next to her, I also made a painting of them. They took out food and they started eating, but she just kept typing. When the plane was announced and it was ready to take off, strangely enough, she was the person sitting next to me.
Oh,
and
this
I
is
went,
fate.
I have something to tell you. And she looked at me like she'd never seen me before in her life. I said, I've been watching you, and you're very beautiful, and I took some photos of you. Do you mind if I paint them? And she said, I would be honored, I'd be flattered, and she took my phone and put her contact name
wonderful.
in my book, in
Well,
my
yes,
phone.
As you paint her, she is intent on her computer screen for sure.
Yes.
And you tell me that you know that she's a doctor.
She's a Florida doctor.
Fabulous.
It was so amazing.
All right, I thought this was a wonderful event. I really enjoyed the artwork. It's really awesome that they brought this here, and really enjoyed the artwork. I think the artists are amazing, and I think it's just a wonderful thing to have at BallenIsles.